to YC is something you're up to. Um, so the structure of this session, we can keep it like I'll share some brief points on how you can design your application well. And after that, I'll try to leave as much time as for the questions because generally these meetings can be available later on also, but your doubts are most important. So we'll try to keep more time for that. I think that will sound good. So before that, Cheryl, do you have any upfront questions for me to lead, or like shall I just like start with the points that I have?
So I'll just quickly introduce Rise for YC for everyone.
Yeah.
Since not everyone has had a chance to get to know the program as well. Just give me a second if I can see I click it in myself as well. Perfect. All right. Hi, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining for our second session for Rise for YC. For those of you who don't know, Rise for YC is a program built to help YC applicants who are applying for their YC processes. As most of you may know, YC has 2 seasons in a year, a winter cohort and a summer cohort. So we currently have summer 2024 going on. And how we help applicants is through various initiatives. All of them combined together creates Rise for YC. So right now we are here in an L&D session with Aseem. Aseem is a YC alumni who will be walking us through the YC application process and how to make your application better. We also do personalized application reviews. So if you have your application ready, you can send it to us and we will give you feedback on how you can make it better. This is to ensure that you stand out and remain in the top 1% of YC's entire application list, and make sure that you get that call back from YC. Once you do get a call back, we also help with mock interviews with YC alumni. So let us know in case you do hear back from YC. So that's a quick and short introduction about Rise for YC. I will now hand it over to Aseem, who would be taking you through his journey of YC and the entire session. Thank you, Aseem.
Thank you. Yes, so a brief about me as well. So we graduated in last year W23 batch, and we started in with an idea of creator economy, but eventually, like a lot of most of the YC companies, and also during that phase, AI wave was coming in. So that was our first batch just after when ChatGPT was launched, and nearly around 100 companies out of 250 pivoted to AI. And that was like also the advantage that you get while being in YC, that you get to have technology access or a lot of other access also, like the top things going on in the world. Which yeah. So I'll quickly share my screen, sharing the points on how I and Vimal, my co-founder, designed the application. And so first of all, obviously, you know your business better. Always know that. Only things that I can help you with are the most generic things, right? That I, as an investor, what I will like about you, and how you can keep things simple. Second thing is that sometimes you are so much engrossed while building a startup, doing customer reviews and all those things, so that you sometimes lose the macroscopic picture, right? So these things will help you over there. So I'll share the screen. I'm just trying to, yes. In case the font is not visible, just please let me know. I'll try to
Yeah,
make it
we can make
bigger.
the font a little bigger.
I'm just trying to do it because I think it's good now.
Yeah.
All right. So one thing is that since you know a business really well, or you might be building B2B businesses, so try to keep things in simple English. Like if a person is listening to it for the very first time and is less aware of, let's say, fintech, but you're building in fintech, do you not really want that person to invest or not? You would want, right? So that means you want to explain in that language in which the person can understand. So avoid jargons as much, avoid marketing words as much, unless you are like just explaining it and you want to refer it again. So at least one time explanation is must. Overall, in your YC application, these things are very generic. So you need to have a good line on like how you built, how you as a co-founders met, and because that obviously tells a like a background about you were doing something, your friend was doing something, or your friend was working in some company, had interest in, let's say, this particular technology, and then you came somehow together. So this also starts building a nice like basic background before you start jumping on your business. So YC questions will anyways dictate you on how you can write a flow, but ensure that it feels like a story. It doesn't feel like a mechanical form. So that is one thing. Second is that when you are launching a business, right? So you don't directly launch it to public and hundred thousands of people come on a day. So you have to divide it in phases. Rather think like in phases. In the sense, you launch alpha version. Before even alpha version, you can do trial testing of say 100 users. What was the feedback? Then you launched it for 1,000 users. What was the feedback? Then you launched a proper alpha version, then beta version. So similarly, you can divide your launches in this phase, and whatever phases you are doing it, explain the result or learnings from that. Because the most the all-time most favorite thing of YC is that how much you have learned by running your experiments, and how much you have learned from your customers, how well you know about your customers. So the more things are around your customers, obviously the numbers, revenues, their usage, their retention, if you have numbers, everything revolves around your customer, right? So if you mention things like that, which are related to your customers, initial customers, later on customers, let's say beta customers. So those things are really much appreciated. And also one interesting thing is, along with the customers like numbers, you can also mention that how capable you were, or how easy was it to get you for you to get the initial customers. So for example, in our case, let's say Vimal, my co-founder, during while we were building Kuhu, an creator economy startup, he has been an educator himself, and his brother was a is a musician. So they already had like around 25 initial creators from different backgrounds like yoga, like fitness, and different things. And it was very easy for us to get those initial customers who can try out our products. Despite the bugs, they can be there. So mentioning that kind of a thing gives us confidence, okay, that we are capable of getting initial customers. We can build the product using these the feedbacks that we get from the customers, and this is how our journey gets on, right? Versus somebody, let's say, who sourced customers randomly from the internet. So in that scenario, obviously the number will play a role, that okay, you are an influencer, so you got massive customers just because you tweeted something or put it on LinkedIn, right? So that gives a confidence to another investor, okay, product can be built, funding we can give, but how will you get the customers? So you see that everything around is about your customers. So numbers, how you get them, how you are planning to do the testing, you launch the alpha versions and those things. So focus around that. So because that will build your storyline, that how you met, when you started, when are you planning, or if you have already done some trials or alpha versions launches, how you got your initial customers, and then talk as much about the numbers, because that obviously tells about the phase you are in. So YC nicely says that you can brag in the right way. So that essentially means that you're not bragging about the marketing jargons that ye ho jayega, this might happen, that might happen, but it's about what you have actually done and what you're seeing in the numbers. So brag it. Don't think like, okay, this is very small, so I shouldn't be mentioning it. Rather, even you can mention about the previous failed journeys. That also is very helpful in telling that okay, this person is a hustler. So don't shy away from bragging. Wherever you can brag, show it in a positive way. Even the previous failed journeys, show it in the positive way. That is what you can do, and build your storyline, your background, customers, those kind of things. So yeah, that is about this one. Definitely, if you have revenue retention rates, so that is like really good. So at that time when we were having our application filled, we filled it at like barely in 30-40 minutes. And we also we were like we filled in the couple of last hours of the closure of the application form. So good thing with us was the revenue. So like we showed that this has been our journey, but what about, okay, these people can build the product. These people have a good background. They are able to brag. But what about since they have been operating since 1 year and it's been, let's say, 3 months of a beta launch? Obviously, you can expect something, right? Free users, you can expect revenue or retention. If not free revenue, then free users should be there. Then what are your next steps? So those kind of things you can mention. And also you can mention things like that you're targeting for the Indian market or US market, things like that. Now coming to these things, even further important is the core insight. Sometimes you would have seen that like you must have gotten some very nice idea, and we generally are very shy of sharing it with some, let's say, on public forums, thinking that anybody can steal the idea and anybody can make it. It's not that simple. Even if your idea is great, you need to know exactly that why it will work, or rather, are you the right person to make it work? You might have a great idea which might be overlapping with some, let's say, a billion-dollar industry coming up, which is not even, let's say, public, the product is not even public. But do you have the pedigree, those insights, those connections, those expertise to make it successful? So that comes as insights. Some part of it comes as an insight, that why are you the right person to build this startup? Do you feel empathy? Let's say, for example, you're building something in um, like related to the medical, or let's say like you're helping for mental well-being of users, right? So why are you the right person? Do you do the meditation that you can say that, okay, if I'll build the meditation feature in my app, it will work better or it'll work good? Because just the UI or UX will not make a great product, right? It has to functionally work really well. So obviously the empathy and the experience, if you mention that why you are the right person to build it, it will really help. For example, in case of Vimal, like he was an educator, he has built courses, he had a YouTube channel. In my experience, I'd worked in a startup. In fact, it was Razorpay only. I worked there in an early stage for 4 years. I built a lot of B2C, B2B products, and obviously the customer side facing products. So we both were the right fit to build tech, plus the growth aspect of it. You will say the business aspect of it. So that was one thing. Second aspect of it was that Bimal's brother was directly a musician, right? So that thing played a very important role. Why? Because the first hand problems will get to like during that time the COVID also happened, right? So like around 1.5 years to it, I think it's 3 years back. Yes. So those experience, if we put it in the right way, that we understand this and we are closely linked with that creator and we work really closely. So we are the right people to build this. That shows your first hand experience. Second thing is like Razorpay also was built on the same lines, despite there was like there were like a lot of payment startups before Razorpay starting in 2014 December, sometime around. There were a lot of like PayU and other startups were there, but why Razorpay started checkout? Why? Because it was a 10 times better experience for a developer. Even today, Razorpay is very fast in terms of you getting to production versus any other product, like if you randomly pick it. So your product cannot be just 2x better or 3x better. Why? Because just because you can make a better UI doesn't make it better. So you have to really tell that why it is better. Okay. So that is one thing. Second, you can mention it like that current products like is whatever, but you can save extra 20 years per week for users. And let's say if your product is for enterprise companies, so this is effectively 80 hours per month for a particular employee of that company. So if that company is ready to take your product and if applies on 1,000, let's say, employees, so that effectively they can save this much time of hours in a month. So that is your value proposition. So keep it very clear about why your product is better. And these things are very obvious that, like I told before, idea is great, but why you are the right person to build it? Have you shown any result related to it, or do you have the core expertise, for example, that you have literally just the idea on the paper, but your background in the companies you have worked, or the past projects you have worked, or the, let's say you have been working on AI PhD, and you got to know something and you want to implement some, let's say, great search, right? So something should be there which tells that you can do it, right? So for example, recently there's a like one core engineer in AI in Tesla. We talked to him. He recently left Tesla and he used to directly work with Elon Musk. Interesting thing about that was he left the company just on the idea basis. He got around, I think, 10 million round of funding. Obviously he's a big guy, but the point is just on the idea basis. The reason is obviously he has been handling the AI in Tesla, so he can build anything that he says related to AI. If the idea sounds good, then obviously investors understand that where the idea can take you to. So similarly, why you are the right person for that idea to be to be successful, that you need to mention. Your background pedigree obviously gives an added bonus. So for example, like Vimal, like is a second time founder. I was a first time, like Kuhu was my first time building it. But I can mention my hustles, whatever failed or successful hustles. If you build any, I used to build games, I used to build some side apps just for fun. So just do mention all the hustles that you have done in a nice way. Like I told, brag it, brag it in a right way. Obviously you're not bragging anybody else's success, right? So you're bragging your own things that you have implemented. So anything that an investor would like to know about you, just mention it. That is it. Rest of the things are like obviously YC will analyze on the basis of your stage. For example, the time when we applied, we already, it's been like around an year of us coming after the beta. So we had to have the revenue or the high growth of users. So that is what like was applicable for our stage. For you, you need to see depending upon what, where do you lie here. So yes, that is about the application run through, how we filled. And I'm open to your questions. I can post this somewhere if this can be helpful.
Hi, Aseem. This is Akash.
Yes. Hi,
So
Akash.
I'm making up certain products. So my question is that in the demo video, should it be more of like with just a product without any voice or voiceover somewhere around that? Because I don't want to oversell that. Hey, come and look and see this thing and how this thing is working. Okay, but I would do want to share my ideas regarding my demo. So how the demo video should be like that?
Got it. So in fact, I'll also try to find our demo video. It has to be natural, like in the sense that if your product is all about your screen sharing, right? If it's a mobile app, simply share your screen, show the walkthrough about the most important parts of your application, and that's it. If your application, for example, is across web and application together, so just record one, record second, join it, and send the video. That should be it. Does it answer your questions?
Hey, hi, Aseem. This is Sunith here.
Yes.
Hey, actually, I'm building a technology startup in the wedding space. It is regarding the execution part. So we want to ensure. I mean, we are Swagrani. We are basically an AI-enabled holistic wedding planning and execution platform. So in the last 12 months, we did somewhere around 50 lakhs in revenue. Is it okay to present? Is it an okay number or is it too less for YC?
All right. So this is a question that a lot of people ask. Is the number good enough for YC? Think like that YC would want to invest in your company if it can become $1 billion. If you, as a founder, can think that big and it looks practical enough. For example, in our case, we had some revenue at that point of time, and it was certainly not 50 lakhs per month. Do you mention about the quarter or what?
No, no, it's in the entire last 12 months. Actually, we were operating in a
That
very
that is
small
okay.
tier.
That is okay. If you can show a bigger picture that
Mhm.
we have been running our experiments all these 12 months, we got a playbook, and this playbook can help us, let's say, earn 10x or 5x this amount in this financial year or in next 2 years. That is what YC will look at. That
Okay.
eventually, let's say, after a couple of years, let's say 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, can your company become obviously billionaire? But I would rather want to say it in a better way. That is it like something which is helpful for customers?
Mhm.
So it's not about 50 lakhs. It's rather about how you show it.
Correct. So I think this is what our projections are. Actually, we try to project, I mean, the financial modeling and everything, right? The goal is to expand to other cities and add more services. Right now, we're just doing wedding photography. Now we want to do more on, what you may call it, the decor, catering, and all of it, right? And if we add all of it, so with 5 years, we'll be looking at somewhere around, a company which can generate up to 200 crore, 2,000 crores a year,
Right.
right? So is that scale good enough? Can we
So,
put that?
like you mentioned about your operations, it seems to be operation-heavy company. Generally, the companies that we have observed, most of the companies are actually tech-oriented because they can scale like that.
Mhm.
So your business, if can find a way that, like, I'm just giving a very vague example, that it you have the wedding photographies, but something AI based is there, so that the photographs can become a lot better, make a memorable moments. That becomes a use case for YC.
Mhm.
Because see, you need to solve a problem to get
Mhm.
into the YC. Wedding photography is already a solved problem. You are probably 1 millionth guy who is starting the startup. You can execute well. You can definitely earn 200 crores and even 2000 crores tomorrow. But for YC, it's rather about like problem that you're solving.
Correct. So, I mean, if
It,
I were to add, actually, we are building a platform which ensures wedding planning and execution is a breeze for the customers. All right. So, right from selecting vendors, negotiating, getting things done, escrow and bidding and whatnot, AI and all of it. So, we have built all of it actually.
right.
So we
So,
ensure whatever has been promised gets delivered. The vendors arrive on time. We are not the ones who actually own the assets. All right. Basically, let's say if it's a decorator, it is. I mean, the decorator is who owns the asset. We basically connect. We do the designing. We would design the wedding, and then the execution goes to the vendor who would do it. Right. But
okay.
because of the way we operate, we have we are basically working on the platform, not on getting into the core operations. Right. We would get in and try to optimize few processes. And let's say in photography, we would be like, okay, come on, I mean, can we basically help you do the editing faster? Can we put in more technology solutions to help you edit faster, right? Make your albums faster. So that's where our platform focuses on.
I got it. So it's kind of a marketplace. I'll try to keep the answer short, but this will answer it properly. Like I told, you need to you can portray it as a wedding photography, or you can portray it as a marketplace that is solving something, something, something. Or it
Mhm.
can be the third variation, which looks even greater, which actually looks like you're solving a problem. And you can show the feedbacks on how this is 10x better than the existing things in the market. So, like I told, solving a problem is important. If you
Mhm.
can, it's like either you're not solving a problem, or you might be not able to see it that you're solving a problem. So if second case is there, you can definitely write your application better way.
Got it. Got it. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like,
Thanks, Sunit. Aseem, since there's a lot of people in queue raising their hands, I will just read them out to you and you can take them from there. Shaurya, I see your hands raised. Can you go for it?
Hi, Aseem. Thanks for the session, man. So I just had, yeah, a question is like very similar to the question before, but I just want to hammer on it a little bit more to get clarity. So the question is that, so YC application has a very specific question, right? It's how much money do you make right now and how much you could make. So how much money you make right now, obviously we can't change. How much you can make is a very, like, it's like a market sizing question, right?
right.
So, in our case, like we basically build LLM tools for ed tech, but obviously we can't build like 5 6 different tools and like try to capture the whole market, so we have to start somewhere. So like the first thing that we are building is like with a core focus on college applications and like basically search discovery and basically like a co-pilot for writing your applications. So my question is that like when we try to size that market, it doesn't really line up to like the expectation of like 100 million a year in revenue, which would be like, like the roughly
I
rough
got your
expectation
question.
of a bit. So like,
Yeah, I got
how do we say ki we are going to add more revenue lines because we don't have those products yet?
right. So like I told, story is very important. You can mention like that your overall vision is this. You have
Mm-hmm.
implemented this part of your vision, and this is getting this revenue today. Since your vision is big, calculate your market size as per this. And you can mention about that this year we are going to implement this, which is going to help us. Let's say if we acquire 10 colleges or 50 colleges, whatever, this is help us to earn this much of revenue. And like regarding about the vision and the corresponding market size, you can get like from a reliable source online, because you cannot just put random numbers and they will believe you. It should look believable.
Yeah, thank you, man. That makes sense.
Awesome. Rana, if you are on the call, you can
Yeah,
take your
hi.
question.
Thanks, Shirel. So, Aseem, I think going with taking a cue from the previous questions. So if there are, let's say, 10 components that constitutes the overall business idea, do we initiate the YC pitch talking about the first or two components, prove it first, and then we talk about the remaining piece, or we go to the YC with the overall pitch comprising of the 10 components?
Interesting. So there are two parts to your question. It is generally recommended that you are trying to find out a hero part that can actually build a playbook and scale. Like for example, Razorpay started with checkout, 10x better checkout. Then it started adding more products to its business line, right? Now, Razorpay in the middle actually rebranded around 2017, 18. It rebranded it to fintech, like let's say the infrastructure of India, right? Earlier, it used to be a payment gateway of India, right? So, what's your vision? You want to build, so public knows this, that you want to, like after a couple of years they made it like a financial infrastructure of India, but they already must be knowing it, that they want to build something in finance, so that everything in India related to finance they will solve it. That should be a vision. Today you're solving it for the first component, that should be a hero component, because you cannot say that one component you built it is half working and you cannot build a playbook out of it. So vision should be that big. You can tell that you started with solving the most pressing problem of today, and you are solving it, let's say 5x, 10x better.
Okay, so you were suggesting we talk about the overall vision in the YC pitch and not just an individual component. And
Yes.
but at the same time, focus on how each individual component can actually lead to achieving the larger vision.
Rather, don't talk about all the components, because obviously I can otherwise mention a lot of things, right? For example, we are building SuperKalam. It's an AI-based personal mentor, but we are starting with UPSC. So as a vision, I'll explain a lot about what our models, our trained models can solve for as an education. Our motive is not to crack, like help you just crack UPSC. Our motto is to build a discipline ecosystem and self-learning ecosystem, and in a gamified way, personalized way. That is our vision. We started with UPSC. UPSC market is this big, and we are cracking this way. Currently, we have these many users. It works like this.
Sure.
I cannot say that I'm like cracking IIT also today, like something. So you can mention a bit about these to give a perspective about, let's say, for example, YC people will not understand what's IIT or probably NEET exams. So I can say Indian competitive exams. Example, like Indian civil services, they will even not understand UPSC word. Like I told, jargons, avoid jargons.
Sure. Sure.
Right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Rana. The next person to go would be Manasvi. Manasvi, if you're here.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Aseem. So we are a pre-revenue health tech company, and there's a similar company which it was a part of YC already. So 2021 batch. What we think is we are faster and better in terms of technology with them. But again, will it impact because we are a pre-revenue company and the similar
Uh,
model?
I don't think so. It will impact. Like I told, that YC doesn't say that it has invested in one startup, so it will never invest in a similar startup ever again. It's not like that. Rather, if you have a better approach than them, they will definitely want to put money in you. So yeah.
Yes, the business model remains the same, but again, the technology which we are using is comparatively faster or better.
It's nice if you're mentioning about technology, even if you would have mentioned about you want to capture just the Indian market and let's say they are about US market or Europe market, or you want to just capture Southeast Asia market, even the market difference can help you.
Got it. Thanks.
Even like if you have technology difference, then that's even great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Manasvi. Himanshu, you can go next.
Hi, Aseem. Thanks for the session. I had a quick question. So we are developing a diagnostic tool. So we are developing an early cancer screening test wherein it's a simple blood test that you can get similar to a diabetes test. And then we look at the microRNA structures within it, and that tells us about the, propensity to develop cancer. So my question is around how do I demo this? So essentially it's not a tech product in the sense it's not a software or an app where it's a process wherein we take in blood from the customer, we do some RNA analysis on there, and then give the results back to the customer. So currently, I had just used AI to kind of, just say the pitch that, we'll collect blood from the customer, and I used Gen AI to create the video. But just wanted if you had any other ideas on how I could. I don't want to I'm willing to invest effort, but
I
I'm
got
not
it.
seeing any other
So I
way.
think you must have some public repository about how to build a demo. You need to check that. I might not be the app person to answer this, but I think YC does mention about that if your startup is about this, if it's digital, it's easy, right?
Yeah.
If it's other way, I think YC does give you the guidelines. You can actually check that around. You
Sure.
can obviously say that you told it like mention about the results. You can show about the results, how good they are, things like that. But I would say that just have a check on like YC open repositories, and the guidelines. They would have mentioned it in the form.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. Abhinash from DermaQ, if you're here.
Yeah. Hey, hi. So I'll take the question. Actually, this is Ruhi from DermaQ. So hi, Aseem. We are building an AI-enabled digital dermatology to treat hair loss. So we are at the intersection of AI and D2C space. So the AI is being used to do the diagnosis if the person is losing the hair, what stage they are in, but the revenue would come from the product. So it's an AI and product at play. So should we focus more on the product bit of it or the technology? Because YC primarily is like a tech first investor. So should we more put our like the thesis around technology that we're building, or should we be like a mix of, should it be 50-50 or?
So if I ask you that what is the hero of your business, what would you like to tell me first and convince me about that?
It would be our technology.
Yes. So talk about that first, and definitely you can tell about that your plans is to build the product because it will help you reach more customers, or it will help you in retention, these kind of things. Or it'll help users track their like the hair growth progress, those kind of things.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks, Ruhi. Next person would be Yash Ladda.
Hi, Aseem. So actually, we are building a healthcare startup into pets industry. So what comes to a problem is that we both first co-founders were non-tech background, and we had outsourced our technology. Recently, our third co-founder joined us from a tech background. But the question YC has is who has built the product? Was it a non-co-founder? So how should we frame this in a story format that does not come to a disadvantage?
All right.
It's like the tech co-founder has the idea
How
about
much,
it, but
how much of the product was built by, like, how much was the product built before he joining you?
all entire product was built in the app, website, everything was
And is
built.
your product like tech heavy? Is the tech that is already built, is it like heavy
Yeah,
on your main business?
it's tech heavy to the main business.
All right. So I think again, you are the best person to answer that. I would rather, if I would have been in the place, uh, I would probably have written that this person will add this value to this. See, it's okay to being honest. Rather, it is good that you are able to manage without a tech co-founder, right? That because you understand the product, you probably understand the user feedback, XYZ. Mention that, and you were able to build the product, let's say for 4 months, example, and
Yeah.
now you want to scale it from there. So you have like onboarded this friend of yours who is like veteran in building B2C products.
Yeah.
So he will now lead these kind of like these kind of technology initiatives in that. So I think it's okay to being honest. You can mention like this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Yash. Durgesh, you can go next.
हेलो असीम
Hi.
मेरा ना प्रोडक्ट हमारा जो अभी आइडिया स्टेज पे है और हम लोग फाउंडर भी ढूंढ रहे हैं, एक टेक को फाउंडर अभी फिलहाल मिला तो नहीं, अभी जितने लोग से बात की है तो आइडिया स्टेज पे पिच कर सकते हैं क्या?
YC says that even if you don't have any idea, but if you have a great team, like let's say 3 people, 2 or 3 people, great team, you can definitely do it, like obviously apply for it. Like I don't know how it works, but last year they mentioned like this. But see, I have seen very less YC company, like Indian companies, were getting selected for the YC batch. Like this one, the one that just went away, and the last year, S23. I think S24, yes. No, it should be S23.
S23, yeah.
So see, like the question that you asked is all about the probability. Definitely, if it's a tech startup, you should be finding the person on time. But how you can write it in the application, I can tell you. Probably, let's say you're in talks with somebody, you can mention that you're in talks with, let's say, 3 people, and one of them is like likely to join, something like that. But if you don't have a tech co-founder, I would definitely recommend you to find it ASAP. Or you can also mention that like we are looking for a tech co-founder. In the next 20 days, we'll be able to have them. Let's say if the deadline of the filling the form is, let's say, day after tomorrow, but you have to write something, an honest answer. Something like this you can mention.
Okay.
So by the time your application will come up, if there's a mechanism to share an update, or if they will ask you, and if you're able to fulfill your commitment of, let's say, if you're able to find in 20 days, then it's a win. But I would say find before, like as soon as possible, if it's a tech startup.
वैसे तो हम लोगों ने बहुत लोग से बात किया, बट कोई इक्विटी के बदले काम करने के लिए रेडी नहीं है। लोग को अभी कैसा प्रोडक्ट बिल्ड करने के लिए पैसा चाहिए, बस वैसा
Yes,
फ्रीलांस मिल रहा है।
that's finding a co-founder is a tough job. Building team is a tough job. Everyone is often in the same boat.
थैंक यू। और कुछ सजेस्ट कर सकते हैं आप कहाँ पे कुछ अगर कुछ टेक
Like
को
you have to
फाउंडर
exhaust all the possibilities. Go in the tech meetups, put it on LinkedIn, spam on LinkedIn. Like I told, like just go to as many tech meetups wherever possible.
वो तो फिलहाल चल ही रहा है। हमारा इंस्टाग्राम पेज एक फ्रेंड था, 100K फॉलोअर्स है, उस पे भी डाल के रखा हुआ है, बट कुछ सब वही आ रहे हैं।
No, I
यार,
get
किसी का
like I told you,
एक्सपीरियंस
you have
नहीं
to
है।
manually go over there, meet people. See, there's a company called My Dukan. He told that he found his co-founder like when he went to a marketing meetup. Obviously, it will not be a first marketing meetup. He went and got lucky. He met like after several trials, right? I met Vimal because I was building something at that point of time. I met with a common friend, and so like I told that it's an effort that you have to put.
Okay.
Durgesh, you can also try.
Yes.
You can also try Antler, and YC itself has a co-founder matching process. So you can try these avenues. There are many different avenues that you can try to find a co-founder through.
कहाँ पे मैम?
Antler, chat में देखो.
Okay.
Probably, Cheryl, you can make a list of it because a lot of people have trouble finding co-founders
Yes.
on time.
Noted.
That's a good
Absolutely.
repository. Yes.
Yeah.
थैंक यू मैम, मिल गया वहाँ पे मुझे लिंक। थैंक यू।
Thanks, Durgesh. Chinmay, you can go next.
Hi, Aseem. This is Chinmay from Xcopilot. So we are building Siri for SaaS products, but we are still in MVP stage. So my question is, how do we answer these questions related to like how much money can we make? Because similar products we don't have in the market, or the Eero component what we are building, they're not available in the market. Whereas the other components, they are available in the market. But how do we showcase this and how do we answer such questions in the application?
Got it. So I couldn't get about what do you mean by other components, but first question I'll answer.
Yeah.
So generally there's a proxy value. For example, like I mentioned about if you are able to save these many hours of a particular one employee of this company, if they will use a product, And these companies have, let's say, generally like big companies have operations of 200 to 500, 800 people, right? So if you want to target size of companies which have 500 plus operations people, so if you're saving this much time of a person, what is the salary of them? Roughly, you'll be definitely able to get it. If you're able to save this much of time, see how much of this a company might be willing to pay. For example, if a salary is 50,000 rupees per month of an operations guy, and you're saving, let's say, making them 20% more efficient. So that means that you are saving how much? 10,000 rupees of that company for that particular one employee. How can company pay you 3,000 rupees for that one employee? If yes, then can company use for all the 500 employees? So multiply by 3,000 into 500. That should be for your one company. How many companies you're targeting for 1 year or probably next 6 months or 1 year? Again, like you can say that want to target for India market first or US market first. These many companies are there which have, let's say, 500 plus operations people, or let's say falls into your category. You want to target 50 of these companies first out of 1,000 in the market already, like 1,000 in the market, something like that.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying to answer based on value proposition to
Yes,
end up on a
a lot of
number.
companies do it.
Okay.
So this is a typical phase on how you discover the pricing of your company. A lot of B2B companies exactly go through the same process, and pricing discovery is a process of couple of months. Like it can take you 3 months to even 6 months. And the answer that you have, like the question that you asked, is like actually a complicated one. So give it as a proxy figure.
Proxy figure. Okay.
Yes, sometimes people are like building fit for the developers. For example, they will help you on easy deployments on AWS. So they rather try to charge on how much time they're saving of a developer, and then they charge it according to per user.
Okay.
Let's say $10 per user they will charge, and minimum 5 seats you have to buy. So regardless of let's say whether you buy 3 seats or 4 seat minimum, you will end up paying for 5 seats. So something like this, they design it.
Okay. That answers the question, Aseem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chinmay. Quick time check. We have about 15 minutes and we still have 10 folks who have questions. Folks, please keep your questions limited to one question only so that we can answer everyone's questions. If you have more questions, post them in the chat. And if we have time at the end of the session, we'll pick them up. Guha, you can go next.
Hey Aseem, so this is Goa from I'm Billing Kavam, which is a laundry services marketplace. The question I had was that when I apply to the YC, the form, right? I'm supposed to talk about the revenues are made over the last so many weeks, months, year, whatever. So in AOV terms, those numbers are like, to put it nicely, they're tucha. You know, I mean, our average order value is probably not even like $50 or $20 or whatever. So, but and because we're running it primarily as a pilot or to do a market study, we didn't really focus so much on the ramp up. So we don't have the huge numbers to show, but the potential is there, right? So there's a lot of potential. So how do we best state this without kind of damaging ourselves?
All right. So like I mentioned, do you think that mentioning a storyline will help you? How long has it been like since you're operational?
For about 10 months now, 10, 11 months.
All right. So obviously you must have gone through different phases before arriving at a number, let's say 15, $10 average order value. Probably you can mention about that, how frequently that person whose average order value is, let's say, $5, but is the person ordering, let's say, 5 times in a month? Right.
Right. So yeah, so our average, right, to put it in perspective, we have 2.6 orders per month and an average order value of about $700. So which is like about what, $15?
Got it. So I think obviously you cannot portray a wrong number. You can just put it the way it is. Like I told you, what are your next steps to scale it? Are your next step to scale this thing to 5 average orders? Or is it like you want to increase the AOV? Or is it like you want to target a different city altogether? So if your first step is that this, let's say Bangalore city itself has these many customers and they're already paying, let's say, X orders per month somewhere else. So how much can you like increase? If you cannot increase it, don't talk about it. If can you increase the average order value? If you not, don't talk about it. But can you talk about, let's say, like if your strategy is that instead of getting random customers from social media, can you get couple of societies, apartments, and you can talk about that you have captured 10 apartments. Now your target is to capture 50 more apartments in next 3 months. And by the year end, you want to target, let's say, 500 apartments, something like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right,
So
thanks.
Cool.
your
Sounds
next strategy will help you guide what to write. Yes.
Cool. Gautam, you can go next.
Hi, Aseem. Gautam here. So I think we are trying to build sort of a meal service where we do like local deliveries for diet-based meals using some profiling as well. My question is about market sizing actually. So in our case, the immediate market is hyperlocal, which means we are building in one city. So should we talk about like how much market we estimate to have like locally, or should we be talking about like, so because we have like a timeline that we want to maybe in the next year focus locally and then scale across the country in other cities as well. So in our model, the scale comes from like geographic scaling, right? So I just want to like have your thoughts on like
Got
market
it.
size.
So is it like last mile delivery for what? Or are you providing it as a service to other companies?
No, we are a cloud kitchen, which also has our own delivery network.
All right. So my first question is same as, are you solving any problem? Can you like whatever cloud kitchens, for example, Swiggy also built a couple of cloud kitchens,
Right.
and but I cannot call it like it was innovative because they were saving on costs, a lot of costs and those kind of things. Do you think that you're solving any problem which
Yes.
looks big?
Right. So I think the part where we are doing it in an innovative way is that we are trying to like tackle like diet meals and personalized nutrition requirements. So we try
Then
to
that
like.
then that is very easy to do it. Let's say if you're targeting students who live in PG,
Right.
in these pockets of, let's say, city Delhi.
Right.
Obviously, you want to provide at a very minimal cost, let's say 75 rupees. Why? Because the competitors provided, let's say, 50 rupees or 100 rupees. But
Right.
you can say that 75 rupees, very good meal. So it's
Right.
slightly a 25 premium from the lowest one, but obviously there's a quality to it. Now you
Yes.
can say people are willing to pay 75 rupees, and there are these many students who have been on the regular basis. Obviously, nobody will have their own kitchen, like full-fledged kitchen, and they will not be eating regularly outside, right? So multiply weights by the students.
Yes. No, so I think my question is rather like, should I just focus on like the city we are in, or rather like the whole country's market? Because like I'm just worried if I'm just confused about whether it's the short-term market or like the long-term.
You have to mention the bigger vision that you want to capture the Indian market.
Right.
This
Right.
is the total size of it. Because the total size itself is very low, then why will you yourself start that business, right?
Yes. Yes. That
And
makes
if
sense.
that size, YC will not know, why will they invest in you? If let's say the company's lifetime value ever it can achieve is, let's say, 50 crores, why will any investor invest in that?
Right.
So
Right.
since YC is not aware about your cloud kitchen business, you have to tell the small detail as well, that this is the total size I am going for as my vision, as my idea. Currently, I'm going for this city to capture, which will give me this much total revenue, and this much I'm targeting in next, let's say, 6 months or 1 year.
I see. I see. That makes sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Gautam. Surajit, you can go next.
Hi, just curious, any idea on video pitch, any suggestions for the video pitch for YC?
Surajit, your audio is not very clear.
Can you hear us now?
Can you please type it?
Yeah, you can type.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Meanwhile, Kashka, you can go next.
Perfect. Hi, Aseem. So I'll just talk about what we're building first. We are aiming to create a psychology, neuroscience, and yoga-backed personalized wellness routine. Think of it as personalized headspace meditations, but it will be fine-tuned to more biological feedback mechanisms. Your therapist will be able to customize the routine for you. So the technology part of it is more or less sorted out. I wanted your help in two avenues. First one is our company's vision is going to have a global first product. It is not going to be focused on the Indian markets. But if you go to the US, there are a couple of competitors. So although the distinction is very clear of what is our advantage over the pre-existing products, would it make sense to say that we are making it India first? Like, is there any advantage in saying that it's global first versus India first? We are currently at the MVP stage. We have tested it, like just for reference, we have tested it for like we co-curated the product with like 5 users, 5 daily meditation users. Now we are doing a pilot run with about like 1,000 students. So my second question is, so we are for the YC application, we were planning to have a FAMPay-like approach. We don't think it makes sense for us to scale this early. Why? Because the product is not yet that ready to have it in the market, like say for like lakhs of users to try. Like for what FAMPay did was they did like a 2 day. They got like I think 20,000 users having some like relay like approach. So something like that for like colleges and something like we will be able to have a couple thousands of users in a matter of weeks, just to prove that we can get traction. So traction we will be able to show. How important would it be for us to ensure that we are also showing revenue, like because we are at the MVP stage? So 2 questions: global first versus Indian first. Is revenue important if we have traction for the MVP?
All right. So how long has it been for you, like since you started?
So basically, we have been in this space. We have been working on a couple of products and doing some POCs, MVPs since about a year. But on this particular product, after we fine-tuned, we initially started with chatbot, etc., etc. Since we pivoted, it has been around 3.5 months.
All right. How many users you have? You mentioned 5.
So 5 people we co-curated the product with, basically with daily feedbacks.
All right.
So we have not yet launched it to the public. We are planning to do it in the next
All right.
2
First of
weeks.
all, 5 users is good, but they're very, very less.
Yeah.
To the concept.
Okay.
So to answer the second question first. So when you were so confident of saying that you can get lot many traction, like let's say in 15, 20 days, why not
Yeah.
do?
Because we are working on building a scalable tech stack. So currently we don't have a scalable tech stack. It can only serve one query per server. That is the text constraint that we have. We never prioritize it because we were working on the product first. So hence
All
the
right. So I would recommend, first of all, don't worry about getting a huge traction, because obviously it's a natural part of every business. The strategy will not help. It might happen the strategy of FAMPay might fail for you. So that
Okay.
will be a winning thing in your application, right? Strategy,
Okay.
like talking about a strategy is actually not, if you can talk that you did this strategy and you got this number, then only it will help you. That will show you that you are an expert at executing and getting the traction. Right?
Understood.
Otherwise, you have to proxy it by saying that you worked in a previous company and you were able to manage to get these. One of the co-founders, somebody in the team can manage traction like that way.
Both of us are have like led startups. I'm an
Yeah,
ex-co-founder.
that is great. Then no need to mention about how you will get the traction. Just mention about that you want to focus and build the product for 50 or 100 users first, make it best for them, and after that, let's say 3 months period, you want to launch it for, let's say, another 500 or 1,000 set of users. Okay. Regarding your first question, I would say that show the TAM as like US market, Indian market, and you want to go for, let's say, X market first. So if your 5 users are from India, but you're talking about US, it will sound a little bit weird. Rather, I would say that if your users are itself from Indian, then why not target Indian market first?
Got
Makes
it.
sense.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
as a vision, show all US market, that market, Indian market. But say that since you obviously it's natural, right? You'll mention your Indian users as well. That is a different thing, that Indian users might not pay you the money. So in that scenario, it might also happen that the US market users' expectations might be slightly different than Indian market, right?
Fair point.
Keep those things in coherence.
Got it.
Yes.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
Kashyap. Krishna Kumar, you can go next. Meanwhile, I'm just launching a quick poll since we're almost at the end of our session. Aseem, let us know regarding your time if you're okay to extend it for a few minutes, or should we
That
close?
was couple of
Yeah.
minutes. Yes.
All right. Krishna Kumar, last question.
Thank you, Cheryl. Hi, Aseem. This is Krishna Kumar. I am from Mumbai. I have my own software company. So I'm developing a product, a kind of LLM ops framework. Using that, now we are getting into property tech. And we have developed the product, but there is no revenue. However, so one big listing company is interested in our technology. Now my question is, if they are interested and if they finally decide to buy, should I sell it off and just come out of it, or go for funding for the scaling part? Because we are very confident about what we have built, and it's a pan-India market where we are going to verify the properties, under construction properties, before buyers decide to invest in any of these properties.
Is it anywhere related to REITs, REITs?
No.
Then what do you mean with property tech?
So prop tech, so basically, so we are going to, so we have collected data from various sources and verified sources, I mean, and so it can be anything, but and then we are keeping data in our database, our knowledge base, and on top of that, then we are giving natural language capabilities to the users to search, verify, for example, compare two different properties, and then find out which one is good, how many amenities are there, is there litigation.
So is your problem statement that you're reducing the time for the end customer to short, like find the properties faster?
Exactly, yes.
All
and
right.
verify as well. I mean, so at present, there is no such platform which allows verification of the properties. When I say verification, what is the size? What are, are there litigations?
I get that. So see, the first question you asked about other big companies interested in buying you. So it totally depends upon you. I can't answer that question right now in this capacity. So if you think that the market size is very big, there are a couple of similar probably startups in US as well. Zero Down is one, but they have a slightly different business model. So see that if you can make it big, and if you can actually in India or US or some other region make it work. If you think that you can make a bigger startup out of it, and it can be, let's say, so much bigger than the amount that the company is offering to you, to like what decision to make.
Right. Yes. Okay. Great.
So if you think that you are a tech guy only, you can make more technology later on. So keep making technology. So that's your business then.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of our session. Thank you so much for your time, Aseem. I'm sure everyone has found a lot of value in the questions that you've answered. I know there are a lot of questions which are also unanswered. Folks, there is a WhatsApp group that we are running for all YC aspirants. You can join that group and we can continue those discussions over there. Meanwhile, we will also have another session this time next week. So stay tuned. I will share all the details very soon. Thank you very much for joining. And yeah, if you have your applications to review, feel free to submit it for YC review. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, please hit the poll if you have not already before dropping off. Please. Yes, Rajesh, we will be sharing it next week. Sorry, someone said something?
What form do you want us to fill?
There is a poll that you would see on your screen.
Cheryl, I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, never mind then. It should be on your screen. I am not sure why it's not visible. Sorry, folks. Learning curve with Google Meet still.
No worries. No worries.
No worries. You can just send it on the group and we'll fill it there.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Cheryl, just one quick question before I leave. Actually, is there any review session that is happening? I mean, before submitting the YC application?
So it's not exactly a review session. These are all personalized reviews. So I can share the form link with you right now. Just give me a moment. What you can do is submit your document for review, and one of our panelists will go through it and get back to you on how you can make that review better. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, I'm sharing the link in chat. Folks, you can use this as well. Just give me a moment. There you go.
Cheryl, one quick question. Is it like, I mean, if we submit at the last moment, does it make any difference? Like, I mean, you submit on the 24th versus submit earlier?
So 24th is after the deadline. I'm assuming you meant 22nd?
22nd, yeah, correct.
Yeah, so they generally say that the earlier you submit your application, the better the chance of it being reviewed properly, because what happens is a lot of people wait till the last minute, which means a lot of the applications would be reviewed in a rush to finish all of those application reviews. So we generally tend to recommend that you submit it as early as possible, so that when the rush is not ongoing, it's easier for an applicant, for a reviewer to review your application at that point.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.